Alrighty, we are back. Stream quality might be better. I increased the bit rate. Stream quality. I mean, actually, let me bring this up to my other screen. Let me click play and run around. I want to see. Oh boy, I pressed a button. Now it's frozen again. That's nice. That's very nice. I appreciate that, Unreal. You're so handy. Wow, Unreal is just not responding at all. That's crazy. Now I'm just gonna end it. And we're going to relaunch it, because that's honestly gonna be faster. Y'all get to see Toothless. Also, I apologize if anyone can hear me munching on some almonds. Almonds, however you want to pronounce it, I don't care. I forgot to put my checklist on this screen. Alright, we're back. That was quick. Alright, let me click play and just run around and see how it looks on YouTube. YouTube's compression is so bad. Yeah, it's slightly better than yesterday. That's for sure. The HUD definitely looks a lot cleaner. I did do some off-camera work, but pretty much all I did was just make it to where as you get close to it, it kind of fades out, because it helps with when you're just using it as a double jump. The little reticle would get in your way, and it would be really annoying. Wow. Just realizing how blown out my sunlight is. Everything's so bright. I'm gonna fix that. Directional light will make this like 1.5. Or just 1. See if that feels better. Okay. Yeah, 1.5 probably. Yeah, that feels slightly better. Makes the glowing pop. There's a lot of lighting balance I'm gonna have to do when we actually get an actual map with the new blockout materials working. For now, I'll be animating the ground pound. That's not something that's basically the current goal is for all of January. I will be only working on this code like drop down. So today we should be able to finish all of this pretty easily today. We might start working on stuff like this. Just some kind of random stuff that I have in my list. And then when it comes down to the art side of things, both art and animation, I consider those both art related stuff, but just for organization I have this separated. Yeah, I have third person ability anims, so that's something that, yeah, I'm doing all animations right now. I don't have an animator at the moment, and I really don't have any art people. It is still very much pretty much just me, but I did just bring on an audio guy, so we'll see what he can come up with. Yeah. You know me. The technical side of things comes first, but I'm also kind of just, while we're coding this, I'm constantly thinking about what I even want the animation to be. Because like there's got to be like a falling, there's got to be like a charge up animation where you're kind of, your player's getting into the falling position, if you will, and then there's going to be a loop animation for when the player's falling. That way, just no matter how long the player's falling, they'll be in that animation. And then when they hit the ground, there has to be like a punch and then stand up animation. So I'll have to code all 3 of those. So yeah, that's gonna take a while, but I will stream that. But that'll probably be February. So all of the code stuff is what I'm gonna get done for January. Not all of it right now, but I'm going to get as much of this done as I can. I went through earlier on my lunch break at work and reorganized some of this stuff into what I think I can, or the order that I would like to do this. But I'm going to do as much code as I can, but as soon as February hits, it's purely animation and art stuff, but mostly animations. So, like, I'll be getting the dual-wielding animations, because that's something that's pretty important, because, like, if I run over here and pick up, like, the SMG, you can see the guns are kind of just merged together, and if I play the SMG shoot animation, it'll play that, and then it kind of, you know. No, I'm not trying to be real out there. It's probably just going to be like, honestly, both, oh, I can open up on the screen, that works. Marvel Rivals Bucky ult, and then if I also search Halo 5 ground pound, these are the 2 ground pounds that honestly gonna be taking inspiration from. So it'll probably just be something simple where you lift your arm into the air in like a punching animation, and then it'll just be kind of a, I don't know, a basic fall loop, nothing crazy, just, you know, like a breathing fall loop, like you see here. That's probably what mine would end up being, is just you got your arm in the air, your legs are kind of in like a falling pose, and then when you hit the ground, yeah, you play that. You play a little like punch animation. You're kind of sitting in that superhero pose. And you play the stand-up animation, your camera transitions. It'll probably be exactly like this. I mean, this is what, like, one of the games that pretty much has the gameplay I'm looking for, except this does a lot of damage. Yeah, well, you know, that's your fault. But yeah, pretty much. It'll be a Gen 2 animation, just like all of these animations for the guns. Like, you know, it feels like you're walking. It feels like you're sprinting, but I mean, I'm not like perfectly happy with all of them. So, like the melee animation. I like the melee animation, but it's not perfect. But I mean, you can definitely tell it's a melee animation. Same thing with like throwing grenades. I need to completely redo the grenade throw. I don't like it. But like all of these animations are Gen 2 animations. They work just like the models of the guns themselves. They work. You can tell it's a gun, and it looks a lot like what the gun's going to look like in the final, final art. But it's just very low quality. It's the same thing that the animation is going to be. The animations are very low quality. I don't spend much time on them, but they're very close to what will probably end up being the final animation. So that's the point of Gen 2, is to be close but not perfect. So that's all I'm gonna do. It's like right now, like if in third person, there's no breathing. They're literally just a stiff player, but it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, it's way different than what we played in Mystery's Room. Like I was saying yesterday, like it's much more fair. And it's more fun too. Like all the weapons have been heavily tweaked and heavily balanced, and like, I mean, hell, we even in the last version of Onyx, which was still one version more than the one you've played, like we had a full level editor. Full custom games and stuff, and we had testers creating fun custom game modes, and like one of them was called Communist Leprechauns, and that one was really fun. Everyone's screaming and just having a good time. But yeah. All right, let's look at what we are going to work on. I'm not going to start on that just yet. We can get proper third-person camera working though. I think we'll do the camera. I want to create some cool like animations for the world, like 3D reticle, camera shake and weight. That is also a pretty important feature. And then, yeah, I like this order. This is what we'll do. So, proper third-person camera. Let's work on that. It's also going to require a slight refactor of code, but it's fine. Also, if y'all can hear me munching on some almonds, I apologize. I know y'all heard that. I know you guys heard that. That's crazy. I watched the microphone thing shoot up when I bit into that. Alright, this right here is all of the third person toggle. All right. What's up, Van? It's going good. How are you? Welcome back. We're just working on getting the hey, appreciate it. Good luck. Good luck on your shift. I just got off mine, so trust me, I understand. It's boring, but gotta make a living. So good luck on that. Appreciate you coming by and saying hi, chatting up a little bit. I don't know if I can just do that. I think that'll work technically. Oh, I have to add the arm length too. So in theory, if I press my little, yep, that does put me into third person, just like normal. Cool. And then now if we ground pound, in theory I shouldn't go into third person, but I should, like, the meshes change. Yeah, okay, perfect. So, in the components player ability Shockwave, when we toggle first person, when we activate ground pound, what if we do arm length about 200 with a Z offset of like -75? This might feel weird and I might have to change some stuff about this system. If I still do this, yep, it works. If I do this, I mean, y'all gonna have to make me, or remind me, but just for testing, we are going to, just so I don't have to wait for the recharge of this, we're going to set the recharge time to just like 0.25. Just that way. We can just keep ground pounding as often as we want. I mean, yeah, with the mesh will be in kind of like a crouched position almost, so I think that feels good. Now that, like, cameras... Oof. -75 and 200. Alright. I forgot. I have to put it on both positions. Yeah, that feels good. Might want to add a thing in there for camera transition speed, but because it is really fast right now. I mean, it's 0.1 seconds. And that's fine for testing, but let's just make this 0.15 and do Yeah, that feels better. That's just that 20th of a second longer. It just feels so much better. It's not so sudden. Cool. Alright, well, that's that. Proper third-person camera, done. Ground pound reticle scale based on time remaining. Oof. Okay. That's something we're gonna have to do in the material. So if we find this material, I'm doing a little mask with this. I start previewing this. Yeah, this is masking out just that cylinder. So if I copy this, actually if I just do named reroute, cylinder mask. We can use that up here, and then now we can do we're going to need a world position offset using the cylinder mask, and we want to world normal, vertex normal, that's what I'm talking about. Vertex normal in world space. And then we want to multiply this by the opacity mask, and then this one we want to multiply by a value of, what are we going to call this? Cylinder scale. Sure. So now if we start changing this to negative, yeah, you can see it starts shrinking that cylinder. Oh boy, that's nice. So let's just wait for this slow engine to save. Unreal is just not liking me today. Oh, well, I just had to say that and it finally worked. That's crazy. So yeah, now if we change the cylinder offset, we can increase the radius of the cylinder or decrease it. So if we go -30, it's just this little beam. So now if we do go back into here, set this to be custom primitive data. That way we don't have to do anything with the material. I don't know why I messed up saying that. That was weird. Then we can have a custom event. We can call this update ground pound %. Sure, that works. This is a % between 0 to 1. We want to lerp between 0 and -30, since that's the number we just found works. And we want to do this. Set custom primitive data float. And then the Shockwave on tick. We can optimize this a little later. We can do update ground pound percent. And this is where I need to run the print string on this, because I need to see if this is running while our ability is ticking down. If so, then we'll just do the code in here. It is. Okay, good. In which case... only if we are not ground pounding do we want to update this data. And then in our ability tick event, on our ability tick, we can add a new input of float and call this ability percent. And now we can go all the way back to our actual ability system, and whenever we call ability tick, we can put an ability charge percent. Alrighty, and now that we know this, in theory this should just nope, because I haven't even set it up in the Shockwave ability. That would help a ton. Ability percent. There we go. Now, in theory, we should see that ring shrink. Oh, it's going the opposite way. Whoops. We want it to go from -30 to 0. So now if we like double jump, you can see that ring shrinking. We're gonna play this in slow motion. Oh, we have to multiply that by object scale in the material. Whoops. Object scale. Let's just go with Z. That should work. So no matter what scale it is, it should always... There we go. That looks good. And maybe we can do something with scaling the actual, like, texture as well of the reticle. But the system's set up, so now it's just, we do whatever we want to make that look better. But that's part of the art side, and I'm not doing the art side. I'm just trying to make the gameplay work. So now, dang, his booty was jiggling when I landed. That was weird. But now, not only do you have the little ability icon to see how long you have left to ground pound, but now on the actual ground pound reticle itself, you can kind of see how long you have left. So nice little timer, because you realistically should be looking at that reticle if you want to ground pound. So yeah, that all works. I'm happy with that. Very simple, very basic. It's all it's supposed to be. When we get to the art side of things, we can make that reticle really like stand out and feel really good. So that's 2 things already done. We've been streaming for less than 30 minutes. Well, at 30 minutes. We need to disable movement until camera transitions back into player. Okay. Actually, let's look that up. Because I already know what,
What's up, guys? This video is about time to...
I don't care. Interesting. Halo's perfect TTK is, at least for the Magnum, is 1.2 seconds. Ours, we kind of balance around 1 second. It's a little faster paced than Halo 5. Oh, well. CEs. They're obviously talking about the Magnum, though, which is... interesting. No, we balance most of our weapons around a perfect time to kill of 1 second. But also, depending on the weapon, it's not the... I don't really balance too much for the perfect time to kill. I balance more for the average time to kill. So, because, like, obviously, body shots deal less damage. So, like, I'm not playing with the second player. Like, the pistol does, I think, 8 shots a second. And it takes 10 body shots to kill. Because it takes 8 to break? Or no, 7 to break the shields. And then either 1 headshot to kill or 3 body shots. So, 7 to break. 3 body shots to kill. And then 7 to break. 1 headshot to kill. So the optimal time to kill is 8 bullets, and because I think this shoots 8 bullets per second, the optimal time to kill is 1 second, but the body shots, it's like 1.25, I think it's 1.25 seconds. But that's obviously for the pistol. The pistol is a sidearm. I don't want the pistol to feel like your primary weapon. The SMGs, I forget the exact fire rate on it, but it doesn't deal headshot damage. But it does kill slightly faster than the pistol. But yeah, we're kind of bouncing around a 1 to 1.2, maybe 1.4 time to kill. It depends on the weapon. Obviously, stronger weapons do kill faster. So assault rifle relatively should kill faster than a pistol or SMG. And obviously things like a sniper rifle, if you hit the headshot, will kill faster. So give or take 1 second is our time to kill. Each weapon is different, so we had it as a longer time to kill, and that just felt way too long for the amount of like movements and abilities and all that you have in this. So one second it just kind of felt good. And there's always room to rebalance that based off of, like, a lot of that also plays into level design and just, you know, with all these new abilities, we might find that... Wow, the same death sound twice in a row, that's crazy. You know, we might find that needs some changing, but right now that's the current philosophy. These death sounds are so stupid. Alright, next thing. Disable movement until camera transitions back into player, which... I don't quite know how I want to do that. Because it has to work within GMC's lifetime. But the GMC tick is no longer running. Goodness, I can't think of a good way to do this. Because the issue here is that if I jump and ground pound and hold forward, you can kind of see I just start walking forward. Yeah, that's not right. It should wait till my camera starts transitioning into the player. Because I can't just throw some kind of random thing in here. It has to work properly with the GMC, otherwise the client will get corrected whenever they use this ability, and that's the hard part, is trying to figure out the right way to route things from GMC into this code, because I want to do all of it inside of here. That might be something I figure out off stream. That's going to take quite a bit of thinking. Alright, height-based ground pound, which is not actually height-based, it's just time-based. So, basically it's just however long how long it's been since you pressed ground pound. So like we were kind of talking about yesterday, if you ground pound a jump pad, but it doesn't technically count as hitting the ground or hitting a surface, since you're hitting the jump pad and that's pushing you, in theory you just keep charging up energy and you could get your maximum radius just by hovering in midair, essentially. Or like a grav lift, if you ground pound into a grav lift. One thing I should also see. I need to stop playing with 2 players. And I need to do this with slow motion just so I have the time to test it. What am I doing? Alright, slow-mo of 0.1, jump, double jump, ground pound. Yeah, you can see the player still is just following our camera's rotation. So, what we need to do is, when we start the ground pound, we want to Oh, we do have a reference to the movement component. Cool. We want to get the movement component, and we want to set... Let's see what they have for rotation. Set orient to control. Yeah, this is what we need. We want this to be set to false. And then we want this to be set back to true once we impact the ground. Well, after we transition to first person. And this is something that we're going to need to be smooth. We don't just want the player to jump to that rotation. So I'll show you that, what that's going to look like. So if I jump, and then I double jump, and then we ground pound, I can look this way, but then as soon as my camera starts transitioning, my player's going to snap to where my camera's looking. Yep, just like that. And that's going to feel bad. We want it to nicely, smoothly transition to his rotation. Which... I'm actually curious, does Halo 5 do that? I can't do slow motion in Halo 5, but I've... This takes so long. Custom game on... my custom map for animation testing, because this is something I made ages ago and I like to be cyan. I mean, I'm sure they do some kind of smoothing. I don't think they just jump the player to the rotation. I guess I could do like a timeline and lerp it from a low rotation rate to 0. And essentially what that would do is
Slayer.
Instead of it directly setting the rotation over time, it's setting the rotation rate over time. And since it's getting higher and higher and higher, it would essentially look like it's setting the rotation rate over time. Where's the wasp? There it is. This thing sounds so sick. Anyways, if I hop out. I didn't even twist my camera. What am I doing? Huh, you can't really see with the third person. Yeah, it's very small. So let's try this. Let's try doing boom, we do this, we set the rotation rate to like, let's try 360, so that's 1 rotation a second. See what that feels like. Slow motion, double jump, ground pound, bam. Okay, let's try that in real speed. Hmm, 360s, I mean, a decent value. Let's just go with like 720. Yeah. That's the issue though, is like I need to be able to like lerp this between two values. So like I need to set this rotation rate and then do add component timeline, we'll call this lerp rotation Because the issue is as soon as I toggle first person, essentially my rotation rate is 0. So it's whatever my camera rotation speed is exactly what the rotation speed of the third person mesh is. Otherwise it lags behind and you can't really tell where people are looking. It needs to be exact. Oh my, I need the initialize timelines, I forgot. I could do finterp if I was putting this on tick. But I'm not doing this on tick. I'm just doing this with a component timeline. Very, very handy. If we just lerp this over, say, half a second. Then we can update the rotation rate based on a float alpha. Oh boy, do not want that to be capital L. A float. Yeah. Okay, shut up. And I can lerp this between, since this will be a value of 0 to 1, 0.5 and 1, and then I can do the alpha end there and lerp between rotation rate of 720, and this is where it gets weird because I needed to go back to 0, but I don't want it to lerp to 0 because that will technically slow the rotation rate down. I want to increase it. So what I'm gonna have to do is on finished set it to 0, but then just to make sure that the rotation will catch up, I need this to be a pretty high number. So let's say, I don't know, 720 times 3. So it's 6 rotations a second, I believe. So if I do this divided by 6, yeah. Yeah, it is very tedious, and it's a lot of testing too. So in theory, it should speed up to this. So even if I'm facing completely 180, this should be plenty enough time for it to spin around, match my character. And even if I'm sitting there rotating my camera around, 6 rotations a second is pretty high rate. And then if not, then it'll just snap the mesh and it'll just look a bit jank. Nothing crazy. Oof, but this is not running inside of this is not running inside of GMC. That's going to be an issue. It's not working within the predicted. Oof, I might have to do it like you said with finterp and build it into GMC's tick. I mean, we'll see if that looks good. But boom, boom, we ground pound, we go F8. And yeah, I mean, that feels good. But yeah, no, I just realized this is not working within GMC's lifetime. This is all running within it, but this isn't. And the other issue then becomes, because I'm doing this inside of this ability, if this ability gets randomly taken away, for example, like the game mode just decides it's going to give you a grappling hook instead of the shockwave, this is you're gonna want to reset that. So in case for some reason this just gets reset, For some reason, if this ability gets taken away and this code isn't able to finish, then it would just reset it back to default, just to make sure that your rotation rate is always set to 0. But this is predicted, and this is predicted. This is my first game. I mean, I have technically made a few other games, none of them released. I made Among Us in 3D called, I think our running name for it was called Sham. It's a fully functional, like, it's fully functional. It functions, as far as I'm aware, exactly like Among Us. It just never reached the art stage, which is why I never really made anything on it. Like, I can launch it right now. I am launching it right now. Ah, look at that. Host game. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're very short. But like, you can change your color. As it says up here, change your color. It had all of the lobby options, everything. And then you can run up here and press start, and everyone, like, this is a fully functioning multiplayer Among Us in 3D. Obviously I'm the imposter because there's no one else here, but yeah, you'd get tasks, and you could, well, as an imposter I can't do them, but in the bottom right you see my kill cooldown. This is the map. I've played this so much that I know the maps like you know, back to front in first person. But like, yeah, like all the tasks were fully functional. They were all 3D. You had cams that you could actually look at. I think, I don't know if I actually ever got that working, but I think I did. Let's go see. Let's go to cams. It's been a minute since I touched this project. But like, oh yeah, fully functional cams. This is in real time. You could see where people were, what they were doing. Like, again, this code-wise is a fully functional, like, game. It just never reached the art stage. If this ever, like, if I ever got anybody to, like, help finish this, I would totally love to, but we'll see. And, like, oh yeah, as an imposter, you can vent, and you could, you know, left click to... You know, they are. That's why I was saying earlier that it's not within GMC's lifetime. So that's why I can't go with the timeline node. I realized that just a couple minutes ago. Which means I am gonna have to do it on a tick inside of the ability. Otherwise it's not gonna work at all. But yeah, no, this was a fully functional game. It did work. I could call an emergency meeting. You could vote people out. And it had the full thing. I've just voted myself out. So, there I go. I ejected myself. The game ends. I got defeated. Like, again, this thing was fully functional. I built this all in high school. And... it just never reached the art stage. And I've had quite a few very separate projects that just never saw the light of day. But no, I mean, this is my first project, and I'm going all in with it. I have always said to everyone, I will release a completely separate project unrelated to Onyx before I release Onyx. I refuse to release Onyx before I release something else. What that will be, who knows? I've got a few game ideas that I've been talking about with people. Whether or not I get around to doing those specific game ideas is a different issue entirely. But I'm completely focused on Onyx right now. So Oh, I've got so many devious plans brewing. Like, we had Call of Booty, which we made at one point. Which, like, my UI artist, she made some great UI for it. You know, this is, you know, her UI like mock-up for it. So, you know, she made some great UI mock-up for it. And, you know, this, you know, it was a very clean UI, very usable UI. It was like Call of Booty, average warfare. We got decently far in that, but again, it came down to the art. Like, art is just not my strong suit, and I can't do art to save my life. We were going to use a lot of assets from the marketplace, but I also just didn't want it to be an asset flip either. So, and even though we were going to use assets, you can't really use pre-made animations with a lot of stuff. Like, I'm very picky about animations. A lot of people have told me, oh, there's a few first-person animation like assets on the marketplace. Yes, but they don't fit what I'm going for Onyx. That's the reason why I hand animate everything in Onyx. It's just something that I prefer to have my animations look how I want. Same thing with art. I want things to look a certain way, which is why I don't use pre-made assets. The only pre-made assets I have in this project are the VFX, and that's just because VFX is fairly, like, universal. Yeah, the game idea that I'm currently stuck on, which will probably end up being my first released game. It is multiplayer, because that's just my thing, is I love multiplayer games. And it's got a very, very low poly, very cartoonish and stylized art style, and it's something I know I can do on my own. I'm not gonna spoil anything, just because it's something that y'all will see if it happens. I don't want to make promises. I've also thought about making a few horror games, because there's a lot of horror assets out there, a lot of good like horror sound effects, but again, none of them I was as passionate as I am for Onyx, so I just never actually spent the time to work on any of them. Yeah, exactly. I also want all my games to relatively run on older hardware, so yeah. I'm just trying to think how I want to set this up. Because that's the thing, is I can't even use this delay either if I want this to be completely within GMC. Yeah. Heck. Even without realistic graphics, we still need all that. I mean, Halo Infinite's not exactly that realistic, but it's still pretty graphics intensive. Like, I've got a 4060 and a Ryzen 5, or Ryzen, yeah, I think Ryzen 5 5600X. I can check. I have Task Manager open. Which isn't necessarily, oh, Ryzen 5 3600X. Which isn't necessarily the best CPU, but it's not exactly a terrible CPU either. And even then I was barely getting like 60-70 frames in Infinite on like medium settings. Exactly. I mean, I think it was Assassin's Creed. This guy was doing a comparison of Assassin's Creed. It looks worse than the older Assassin's Creed games, and it also runs worse. So what's going on? It looks worse and it runs worse? That's just counterintuitive. Yeah, that's kind of the thing I've kind of gone for in Onyx. We're not exactly going low poly, we're going mid poly. Like, let me see if I can find our Gen 3 assault rifle. Beautiful weapon model. I think it's this one. I think this is the most recent version. Yeah, it is just poor optimization. Unfortunately, it is what it is. There's not much we can do about it. I mean, as game devs, we can do stuff, but for other games, there's not much we can do about it. But yeah, this is our current high poly model for the assault rifle. I mean, vertices only 20,000. It's not crazy. But, you know, it looks good. It's still fairly low poly, but it is detailed. This is one that my like weapons and props modeler did. I'm very happy with it. He did a great job on this. Before I stuck him onto making lower quality guns because I just needed guns really quickly to prototype them in engine. Like, this looks good. This is probably relatively the style we'll be going with for Onyx. It's going to probably be around that Halo 3 style of stylized realism for the textures. So it's like, it uses PBR and it's got all this PBR stuff, but it's still stylized. And then for the model quality, it's going to be kind of a mid poly. So yeah, I think industry standard is Maya, but I know a lot of things are either allowing artists to use Blender or are fully switching over to Blender just because of it's become such a very, very powerful tool. I'm fairly certain some people in Call of Duty are using Blender now instead of Maya. But goodness, this is gonna hurt my brain trying to do GMC stuff with rotations, and I don't really have a good event tick in this graph that runs in the GMC. I have, oh boy, excuse me, ability tick. But this ability tick only runs when the ability is running. When the ability is recharging, this isn't running. So I'm going to have like another event just called ability tick that I can send through the delta time and percentage that I can get this stuff from. That it's perfectly predicted and everything. I also don't know if this value is replicated to other people. So I don't know if you change these two values, Like, you know what? Let's not set it to orient. Let's just disable the resetting of this and see if well, I guess I'm gonna have to do it like this so you guys can see it. New editor window. Oh boy. What is going on? Oh, it is. It's using the rotation rate and it's trying to snap him to my rotation, but then he's getting updates from the server and then yeah, so that stuff isn't replicated either. So I don't know for simulated proxies how I'm going to even fix that. I don't know if I'm going to have to do like a multicast. You know, we're just not going to worry about this. This is something that I am going to have to focus on whenever I have some mental free time, which will probably be tomorrow after work. Actually, no, I have to drive somewhere tomorrow. Gosh, GMC is so useful, but the fact that everything has to live within GMC's like ticks is so painful. I understand that that's how the predicted logic works, and that's what allows it to replay and whatnot. But like, goodness, that's time consuming to have to build literally everything inside of GMC. We'll figure that out later. Let's work on this. Let's work on getting the height-based ground pound working. So basically, let's just do. Let's call this instead Shockwave. Let's just create a function. Get Shockwave impact details is what we'll call this. We'll call this pure. We need a few outputs. First float output will be. Actually, we do not want this to be pure. We want this to be radius. Second output we want to be damage modifier. Oh, and then we want this to be force. Radial force settings. Forces, because I have my own custom radial force code because I don't like Unreal Engines. And I needed something that works with both GMC and non-GMC stuff, so I just ended up coding my own. Goodness gracious. Well, but that's the issue is that's what I'm saying. Like, how do I tell the simulated pawns that, you know, this needs to be disabled? Like, I don't know if I'm doing that, like, because I don't have any booleans or anything of the way my ability system is set up. I have a component that has all the binded stuff, and I only have 4 variables. When the player wants to use the ability charge percent, the use time, which actually might be able to condense this actually down into charge percent, but whatever. And then if they are using the ability, because for actual ability usage, that's all I need to be fully predicted. And then I have a separate actor component that has the actual code for that ability. It allows me to keep things separate but still predicted. So with the way I have things set up, there isn't an easy way to get when how do I there's not an easy way to get when I would need to enable and disable this. I'm doing this a very weird way for GMC. I'm also not using GMAS or anything like that, so I mean, I did not want to even think about using GMS. Nope, I do not want to play in this anymore. Bruh. Alright, if I just do this and double tap that, it gives me 0.08. So let's just round up to 0.1 tenth of a second. And let's say here is kind of 0.06. So let's just use those as some starting numbers. Map range between 0.1 and let's go 0.75 just to give it a little more height. You hope. You hope. I'm doing definitely things very, very workaround ways just because, like, I'm not using GMC for the animations either. All the animations are all built inside my player, so some things live inside GMC, some things don't. It's caused issues, and I've fixed most of those issues. There's a few things that still come from it. But I remember reading in the GMC Discord that there's some ideas that people have had that I like that I'll probably end up implementing. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Alrighty. In theory, this should work. Oh, look at that tiny radius. But then if I let myself go up a little higher, yeah, it's a bigger radius. And then if I go up even higher, and hit the ground, boom, now it's an even bigger radius. Would I recommend it? Yes. As someone who went down the road of just making their big dream game first. It is something that I always recommend, but it's not something that I would necessarily say you have to do. Just simply because it's something that I'm having fun doing this, and making my dream game has taught me all the skills that I need to know to make said game. Obviously, like, making those smaller games, you have to make sure that those games are teaching you the fundamentals of what you're going to need to do to make said bigger game, if you want to make that bigger game. But like, one of the other games I started working on, like, half a year into learning how to code and starting on the first version of Onyx, which I really didn't even know what I wanted from Onyx at that point, so I wouldn't even consider that version of Onyx. It was just a first-person shooter. It was a party game. It was like, you know, Pummel Party on Steam and Mario Party. It was literally, goodness gracious, I can't speak. Is literally a party game. I mean, I don't know, couldn't tell you. It was just a party game. So, and that also, it was called Pizza Party, and that also is a game that honestly I would have a ton of fun getting back into, and that was a very low poly style, and that might be the game that I end up doing as my released game before Onyx. But oh, I need the other player in here. Yeah, that did barely any of his shields, as you can see. Yeah, barely any. But if I fully charge it up and go down, that does about like half shields. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much already immediately what I was wanting. Pretty much if you ground pound somebody without having height, you only deal like half shields, and then if I go like full height and do that, yeah, it does take out his full shield. So yeah, that already works. Last but not least, the forces. I need to recombine this, and this is where it gets complicated. You can't lerp vector 2s. Oof. I'm gonna have to create a little collapsed graph for this. So let's do forces min. And forces max. Yeah, it's also just like I know a lot of games flop. I've got quite a few indie dev friends, and one of them just recently launched his game a couple months ago, like 3-4 months ago, I want to say, on Steam, and immediately it flopped, which is very unfortunate for him because he spent a lot of time on it, and he was very passionate about it. I mean, he had people, honestly, the guy who modeled this character model this Gen 2 character model, which is smooth shaded, and I need to re-import the shading to not be smooth shaded, but whatever. Basically, his game flopped, and it was just something that he just didn't really see coming. Unfortunately, I tried my best to tell him what he was doing wrong, because again, even though Onyx doesn't really seem like it, you know, I know a lot about like first person game feel, and I just haven't implemented a lot of that into any of my games. So yeah, it became a thing of I tried to let him know as much as possible what he was doing wrong, and you know, he took some of the advice and some of the advice he didn't take, and I'm not going to say that the reason why his game flopped was because of me, but I really did try to give him as much feedback as possible. But his game flopped, and 90% of the things that people were saying in his like reviews on Steam were pretty much, there were a few things there that I didn't say, that I didn't really think were an issue. Obviously there's, you know, personal preference, but a lot of it, genuinely a lot of it, was stuff that I was bringing up to his attention, because I played it, and me being like one of the people who helped test it, you know, I just told him, like, me personally, I just don't find this fun, just because these things felt bad. And again, it was the whole thing of like, my game, people told me that sprinting felt bad in the last version, and it did, and they were like, sprinting's too slow, you need to increase the speed. But the sprint speed wasn't actually the issue, it was the feedback to the player. Like, now I've got, when you sprint, your FOV increases slightly, which very subtly gives the feel that you're going faster. The first person animation is better, and your camera kind of has some camera shake to it while you run, and that just makes it feel that much better. So yeah. But it's also just something to get my name out there. Like, even though I would probably be releasing a game that's a completely separate genre of game, it's still something to get my name out there. Like, if I make a video saying, hey, I released a party game, you know, and if that's something that people share with their friends, and assuming the game does good, that's what you would hope, assuming the game does good, then now you have a reputation. Now you have a reputation of, this guy made this party game, and if I, you know, if I say in the video, hey, I made a party game in 6 months, let's say, just throw some random number out there, because it'd be a very simple game, and honestly, a lot of those party game modes don't take much to code. Excuse me. So I could say, you know, as the video title, I made a party game in 6 months. The kind of hope is that people would look at that and be like, wow, he made this party game in 6 months. He's been working on this first-person shooter for years. If he made this, so again, assuming the game is good, which I really would hope it would be, the thought process is, people would look at that and say, well, he made this party game in 6 months, and this is really fun. It's great. You know, I have a ton of fun with friends. I can't imagine how good this game is that he's been working on for months. Or not months, years. So that's kind of the thought process. It's mainly just getting my name out there and building a reputation. But I mean, I've already been working on Onyx for so long that this is what I find fun, and so I'm not just going to stop on this completely and just work on a separate game. I need to find a game idea that I am just as passionate about, that I'm willing to sink a ton of time into it. And that party game is one of those games. I'm very passionate about that one. I just need more party games. I've got like 4 or 5 in there right now, that do work fully functional, or that do work fully, and they are fully functional. However, I don't just want to copy party games. Like, a lot of the ones in there are party games that are just like copy and pasted from other games. That, like, one of them is from, I think it's called Nintendo Land on the Wii U. That you can't play that game unless you have a Wii U. So everyone on PC is just missing out on that game. So that's why I remade it in mine, because I found that to be a really fun party game. But you can't play that unless you have a Wii U. So stuff like that, where maybe there's party games that are limited to certain consoles, certain devices that I can bring to PC. But it's just one of those things that I need fun party game ideas that aren't just copy and pasted, and that's kind of where I fell short. I love playing party games, but I can't really come up with party games too well. So if like that's something that, you know, I bring to the Onyx community, bring to my YouTube community, maybe it's something that people will end up, like, if I make a devlog saying, hey, I'm working on this party game that I want to release before Onyx, stick all your party game ideas in the comments, and if people stick you know, comments, then bada bing bada boom, you've got you've got a bunch of party games now that you know people want to play because they're the ones who suggested it. So yeah, I don't know, it's just that's the biggest thing, is just getting my name out there and building a reputation. It's kind of dependent on what the collaboration would be. Like, if it's collaborating with artists and stuff that want to help with art and sound and music and stuff, yeah, sure, I'm totally down to collaborate. Again, when it comes down to code, like, this party game would pretty much be completely client authoritative. When it comes to party games, I really don't think you need server authoritative over everything. It would still include a bunch of lag compensation just to make it feel good, but I really don't think you need an insane amount of lag compensation, just simply because it's a party game. Most of the majority of the time you're playing with friends. If you can't trust your friends, why are you playing with them? So yeah, that's kind of my philosophy when it comes to that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, if there's people who do want to collaborate on that, I'm totally down to do that. Oh, nope, I did not mean to do that. And it would also be something that I need to drink something. Give me a second. It would definitely be something that yeah, that feels good for that. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you can't trust your friends not to cheat, that's where it becomes an issue. Like, oh shoot, I had these numbers flipped. Whoops. Yeah, if you can't trust your friends not to cheat. I don't trust my friends when playing video games at all, but I do trust them not to cheat. Well, mostly, I should say. Some of them are definitely up there. Some of them have cheated jokingly in games. They've only ever done it just to see how I would react, but none of them have ever done it just because they're bad at the game. Oof, that's gonna need more force for sure. Horizontal force, we're gonna have to stick to like 150. We're gonna do 300, 300. Make this like 400, and let's make this, I don't know, 700. Oof. Yeah, that feels good for standing right next to somebody and just instantly tapping it. Yeah, so yeah, that's my thing. Client authoritative, I think, is completely fine. So, obviously that wouldn't necessarily be the best showcase of my networking skills because it's all client authoritative. It's still susceptible to cheaters. However, you know, it is, again, you're playing with friends. It's a party game. I would not really be looking at adding anything like matchmaking or anything like that, because that's just crazy. And that brings in a whole nother level of back-end stuff, and it's meant to be a party game to play with your friends. That's crazy impulse. That's insane. I need to turn that down. The fact that I can launch him higher than I can double jump is insane. Oof, these stairs are tripping me out now. Honestly, yeah, that feels good. I like that. I mean, you know, with sound effects, it'll feel better because you'll have like a shoot him flying up. Melee. Gosh, these death sounds. Well, that's that. Boom. Height-based effects are working now. So you deal damage based off your height. The radius increases and the forces increase. So height-based is working. Now we just need impact damage, which fairly easy. You just do the other actor that you hit, apply point damage, and we'll do... Actually, I forgot. I have to do this after I apply the radial. I need to clean this code up. I'm not going to do that on stream, though, because that's boring. And yes, I can do that while chatting, but who's going to want to see that? Base damage is 1. Hit from direction. I normally just use this as the actor position. I don't use this as the way they want me to. But I should honestly turn this into a function, not a event, because then I can clean this up a bunch. There's the hit. Instigator. We need to plug instigator in here. Damage causer is our owner, and damage type is melee. Actually, we'll probably create a custom damage type for Shockwave Impact, but for now, we can use melee. So if I just do this, and I hit him directly, it does break his shields. Which, it's like, what's the point of doing that? But, let's see what happens if I... Yeah, that just barely takes out his shields. I'm definitely gonna have to create a custom damage class. That way, we can change the melee damage based off of your height. Because if you're not falling that far like that, that should not completely take out somebody's shields. That should like bring them down to maybe 50% shields. But by the time you gain control of your player, they'll probably have dealt more damage to you. Now, if I do it from up here, that does fully kill him. Yeah, that's a bit insane. I am going to have to create my own custom shockwave damage. So, let's do that. Duplicate damage underscore shockwave impact. Base damage that it'll do will be like I don't know, 30. 30 sounds good. Damage values for shield, we're gonna do a high of 100 and a low of like 10. Health will do like 40 and 5. Actually, let's do like 15. Compile. And then now we can do yeah, we can use this to lerp, use the same lerp for this damage. And in theory, that should make it feel much better. We did not change the damage type. I'm dumb. Damage type, shockwave. And we can set this icon to ground pound. This is going to look really bad in the kill feed, but it's whatever. So now if I just bop, yeah, he takes almost exactly half shields. That's crazy. Those numbers that I put in are almost exactly what I wanted. Just luck. But then if I go, let's just say to the second ring, that takes out almost exactly all of his shields. He still has this little tiny bar left. Gosh, I need it. And then if we go from the second ring, oop, I didn't hit him directly. Yeah, that doesn't even kill him, but that does take out all of his shields. That's interesting. It's not even... Do I have it named wrong? I might have called it wrong in here. No, this is called health. Let me go look at what like SMG does. You know, SMG is health. Very interesting. Oh, we didn't do shockwave impact. I am dumb. That is my bad. So now if I do it again, same thing, does about half his health. Now if I do it from up here and hit him, yeah, that starts to eat into his health, but he's not quite dead. Alright, he's fully recharged. Let's go up to second ring. I'm standing on him and he's got barely a lick of... Actually, what am I doing? Y'all can't see this. I apologize. So yeah, if we go here and we just like double tap it really quickly, barely does like half of his shield. It's not even as much melee damage does. Like if I melee him, melee damage does more than that. So you're better off just meleeing if you want to do something that close to the player. If we go to this first ring and we do that, boom, it hits him, and you can see his health is like 30% maybe, 25-30%. And then if we go up to this second ring and we hit him directly, he's about maybe half health, a little bit less than half health. Actually, that's like a third health. And then if we go up to the max height which that's ring 2. This is ring 3. If we go up to max height and bop, it still doesn't kill him. We need to change those health values. Something from that height definitely should kill. Health values, let's say 50 to 20. I didn't click play. My bad. Alright, let's try this again. Hello. Dang, so even just from that first ring, yeah, that got him down. What if we just hit next to him, so we just deal the shockwave damage and not the impact? Yeah, that doesn't even break his shields. This is working perfectly so far. I'm liking these settings. Now if we go from this ring and we shockwave right next to him, almost full shields. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to reach him from ring 3. Oh, I'll be able to reach him. Dunk, right into him. Bam, instantly kills him. So that works. Definitely gonna need some playtesting. Obviously, like, there's gonna be some slight tweaks over time, but yeah. Oh, that's also one of the things I want to do is, instead of doing this line trace for visibility, I want to do line trace for objects, not what I clicked. Line trace for objects. Stick this in there, and this, and this. We do not want to trace complex. We want to ignore get owner. We want to ignore our owner of this. Pop this in there, pop this in there. And then I'll clean up all this code. I promise. I promise. Because this is very, very messy, but we're prototyping. Prototyping. You gotta make it. We're still working on the shockwave. So earlier today we got the third-person camera working. So, or proper third-person camera. So instead of it being over your shoulder, oh my. Instead of it being over your shoulder for like gameplay purposes, now it's actually like looking at the center of your player. So that feels better. We also got the reticle now. When you ground pound, now has like this, the center like ring is like shrinking, so you now can kind of tell how long you have to shockwave or to do the ground pound. And then we just got the height based ground pound working, so we're kind of tweaking settings and getting some good base settings working. So, and I'm just changing it to where now the little icon only, like, it won't hit him anymore. So if I double jump, it's still hitting him. Why is that? That is not right. Oh, it's because this is running on its own line trace. Whoops. So, actually, let's just do this and plop that one here and just watch that. Let's swap that over. I keep wanting to say switch and swap, so I keep saying swatch. But now if we do this, in theory, yeah, it ignores. It doesn't actually collide like with the player. So now I can do that, and it works. So that'll make it a little more intuitive. So if I like do this and bop, boom, nice, and hits him, almost takes out his shields. If I do it again, Yeah, that takes out his shields. Let's let them recharge and let's go up to like the highest one. So yeah, that kills him. Cool. Yeah, so the damage works now. You can now kill somebody directly if you hit them from high enough, which if they're moving, the chances of that happening are very, very low. Yeah, this all works. I'm very happy with these settings. Now it just needs the VFX and the animations, and then properly replicating it to everyone. The movement and stuff is properly synced between client and server, so like if he were to do this. Okay, maybe it's not properly. That should not have rubber banded me as much as it did. Because the on hit should run in GMC. That's very interesting. I'll have to see what that is. Oh boy. I wonder why I'm getting corrections. I wonder if the on hit is not something that runs in GMC, like with the predictive. I'm also playing on pretty bad network. Like, see, like that one worked. And that one worked. And like, see, like some of these are working, but that one didn't. See, I'm gonna have to go into the log and see what variable is not working or not syncing. Because this works like 50% of the time. But yeah, VFX will play a huge part in that. Boom, we have impact damage. Camera shake, I'm gonna wait till we have the art, because the camera shake will be purely dependent on how powerful the Shockwave is. On that note, it works. I'm going to go back to Unreal. I don't like playing in separate window. I like to have this on my second screen. I know that means you guys can't see it, but oh well. I'm very curious as to why the client gets corrected sometimes. Oh boy. So that happened. I'm gonna see if I can replicate that. I'm fairly certain I can. No, I did it before I landed. Yep. Nearly the exact same location. That's crazy. No, that one was shorter. Interesting. Yeah, I'm very happy with these updates. These make you feel so much better. I'll stick that in the notes list. However, can only ground pound if airborne, because that's what's going on with this. That's what the issue is because I'm standing on the ground, it's sending me just completely horizontally. So that should work. I'm happy with this. The animations and sounds and VFX will play a huge part in making this feel much better rather than just a blue debug circle. One of the next things I want to work on is getting these weapons to be physicalized again, because right now they're not. That is what the custom projectile movement component will do. The dual wheel data table is also something I'm going to do soon. A lot of this stuff is kind of not tedious work, but it's something that when I go to do these things I won't really talk much, so that's not something I really want to stream. That's something I can probably do on stream. But I'm very hungry. I did not eat after work, so I kind of just came home and immediately started coding and streaming. But I'm very happy with the state that this is in. Maybe not this weekend, but early next week, or I'll think about it this week. And but I'm going to work on figuring out how to get a lot of the things properly built in the GMC. It's like 90% properly built in the GMC. There's few things that aren't, and I need to do some custom tests and research into how I can make that work properly. But for now, I think yeah, I think basically I'm happy with this. This is going to make the Shockwave so much more versatile and usable in games. It'll give them a lot more usability instead of just, oh, I want to get up to this point, I want to double jump. You can still do that, and I still do it, and I will still use it for that. But now you can also ground pound. Oh, that's what I forgot to test in Halo 5, is what happens if you ground pound a wall. Like, what happens to your animation? But whatever. Not a big deal. I think I'm going to end the stream here. A little bit shorter stream than yesterday, but still happy with where we got. I'm going to get some food, maybe watch like an episode of a TV show or something, because I know there's a few shows that I watch that have had some new seasons come out and some new episodes. Honestly, the stream quality should look better than it did yesterday. I upped the bit rate, so it should look slightly clearer. but we'll see. I'll go back and watch it after and see if there's any settings I can change. I'm still trying to nail down my like microphone settings and my stream settings themselves. That way it looks all good and sounds all good and is good. But yeah, I'll probably end up working on the custom projectile movement component either today after I finish eating some food, or I'll work on that next week. But pretty much next time I stream, that'll probably be done. And then y'all be able to see all the weapons go flying, and it'll just be all nice and fine and dandy. Yeehaw. Yeah. Because I can't think of anything else that I would like to code on stream today. Those other things are going to take quite a bit of mental, like, brain work to get it to work properly with GMC. So when that happens, I tend to just stick on some music, like, lay down on my bed and just think to myself. So that's not really something I can do while streaming. I know one of the next few things that I will stream before doing the art for the Shockwave is I'll be adding the assault rifle, and I'll probably do the entire animations and stuff like that on stream, so y'all can kind of see my animation workflow. And it's not the best, but it works. So yeah, anyways, I need to stop messing around and actually go get some food. I'm just, if I don't stop, I'm just gonna keep running around this project. That's what I do whenever I'm bored sometimes. So appreciate you all for coming. We got the Shockwave into a really good spot. There's obviously still work to do on it, but I think for now I'm very happy with that. I will be doing a test with some friends of mine next Friday, so we'll kind of be testing all the stuff that I've been working on. So I might stream that, I might not. It might be something that I just do the test with them, and you know, maybe show you guys some highlights if we have any. But other than that, I'm gonna end it here. I need some food. I need some sustenance. I'm very hungry. I had a very small lunch at work, so. Yeah. Again, appreciate you all for coming, and I will talk to you guys later. See ya.